Married people of Reddit, how is your relationship with your in-laws? Is having in-laws as bad as popular culture would lead you to believe? My mother-in-law is great. I think she talks to me more than she does her son. My father-in-law is a dong. Fortunately the two are divorced and my husband has cut off contact to his father so we don't have to deal with him anymore. Finalized by when he blocked us both on Facebook, and I wasn't even friends with him. He found my profile just so he could block me. Okay then. My mom definitely talks to my GF more than that talks to me. It is really annoying actually. My in-laws are terrible. It's not because they're in-laws. It's because their relationship dynamic is terrible. Mother-in-law was abused and neglected as a child. That has never been treated. She is a helicopter parent out of control. Folks, it never stops. My wife will be 35 this month, and her mother will do or say whatever it takes to get her way. Emotional abuse, manipulation, lies, and she believes her actions are warranted because of how much she does for us. Mill has contacted wife's friends or co-workers to tell them how big a mistake my wife is making for being with me. They didn't want us to get married, and Phil offered to pay for all of the wedding if we cancelled. Lo and behold, he never told his wife until it came out during one of our discussions, aka Mill and Phil come over to crap all over us, often screaming. These people are seriously dysfunctional and refuse to accept when they're wrong. And to top everything off, nothing given or done by them is without strings. The first thing we hear is, we did this, and we did that, gave you this, gave you that. They never ask, they just do stuff, and expect us to praise them for it. Hopefully we don't have to see them ever again, but they surprised my wife last Saturday when I was at work. They came over unannounced while our daughter was napping and wife was doing paperwork. The door was locked, so they came in through the garage, manually entered the code. They screamed and berated her, me, our parenting, my family, everything about us. My wife and Mill got into a physical scuffle, and then Mill threatened to kill herself. They're no longer welcome at our house. It never ceases to amaze me as to how they can continue to mind frick my wife even after us being together 25 years. Have to rebuild her self-esteem after every goddamn visit. Suckers. My sweet, wonderful Mill passed away recently, so I'll speak about when she was alive. In the 34 years I've known my husband, I've adored his entire family. His parents are two of the kindest, sweetest, most gracious people I've ever had the pleasure to have known. I'm more comfortable around them than I've ever been around my own parents. They are awesome grandparents. We have 2 kids, Sil has 3, who don't play favorites, while my parents do. They prefer my sister's 2 kids over mine. They've taken our girls on a couple vacations, just the 4 of them, while my parents have never even taken my kids to the park or out for an ice cream cone, despite having both the money and the health to do so. And I promise, my kids are well behaved. They volunteer, with special needs adults and also their local animal shelter when they were young and healthy enough to do so. They were happily married for 52 years before her death. TLDR, my in-laws are the best. Beautiful tribute, you are blessed. I honestly hit the in-law lottery. Her family is pretty awesome. Honestly have very little bad to say about them. My mom is the Mill you hear about, the rest of the family is okay. LOL, I said the same thing to my manager. I told him I needed to leave early a few days before Christmas because we had a lot of relatives visiting, and my wife's mother-in-law can be a real pain in the butt sometimes. He asked me if the condition is hereditary. Not married, but we've been together so long they've given up and call me their daughter-in-law anyway. Occasionally they drive me mad, but I've known them all since I was 17 and I'm pretty much part of the family. His mum has 3 boys and a husband, so she likes having a female around. Even if I don't fit many of the stereotypes, but as a trained electrical engineer, neither does she. They helped me through some pretty rough times when my mum was ill and just in general when I hated being at home. I'd say my in-laws are pretty great, even if his dad is the polar opposite of me politically. Might want to check the laws in your area. Some places will consider a couple legally married under civil law if they've lived together for a certain amount of time. Also sounds like you have awesome in-laws. I love my mother-in-law and grandmother-in-law and they love me. They are the queens of cheesecake and always make me my own personal cheesecake every holiday season. Maybe they are just trying to fatten me up. Hi, it's me, your new family member. We have had our issues, things we disagreed on, little arguments, that kind of thing. Moments I think we all regret. We are on completely opposite sides of the political spectrum. That being said, early on in my marriage, they constantly lent us money. They take care of our pets when we go on vacation. We never had to pay a dime in daycare, because they have always watched out kids. They drive us if we want to go out drinking. They take the kids overnight if we need a night away. They love our kids more than any grandparents could, and it shows in how much our kids love them. They are literally there for anything and everything we could ever need. If they see something around our house that needs replacing, they buy it. They spoil my wife and I. They spoil the kids. They are by no means rich. They are some of the most selfless, caring folks I have ever met. They drive my wife, who never got her license, anywhere she needs, appointments and such while I am at work. If my mill is watching our kids at home, she has a habit of cleaning while she is there. They put more effort and thought into gifts for me at Christmas than my own mom ever did. I can 100% say my family would not be where we are without them. Without their support, I don't see how we would have ever afforded a house or kids. I am a very, very lucky man. You hit the jackpot. They are nice people who mean the best for my wife, and also for me because it benefits my wife. They don't live near me so I am not super close, but I enjoy seeing them when I do. It's very easy for me to send a picture of me and my wife every so often, or send a message once every few days, and they always enjoy the response. My father feels the same way about his in-laws. He says he got the best ones because they live 1,800 miles away, but they're all pretty close. Closer than my mom is with her in-laws. My in-laws are the sweetest, kindest people I have ever known. My parents, however, have given my wife neuroses. My mother in particular. It's hard growing up with a perception of your parents, and then having to reconcile those childhood memories with learning who those people actually are as an adult. OMG, it's so hard. Horrible. They talk crap about me and my wife for no reason. They call my wife fat and ugly and call me weak and girly. They do it right to our faces and in front of our kid. The final straw was when they called my son retarded while he was standing there. Disgusting. Great, they are both dead. Both were severe alcoholics and my husband had a horrific childhood. Locked outside at 4 years old to play. Wasn't until we were married he realized how bad it was. 1 bill. He's okay in very short visits. 2 sills we haven't seen in 20 years, even though we live in the same town. Ask Hubs and he'll tell you he hit the jackpot. He adores my mother. She adores him. She has admitted liking him more than me, which is okay because I can't stand her. My siblings love him too and enjoy being around him. Something's the wrong way around here. So my mum and my husband's mum were best friends at school. Consequently, I have known my in-laws since I was born, and my husband since he was born. I'm 18 months older. My mother-in-law has always been my second mum. Having said that, much as we have a generally great relationship, she is a bit of a strange person and handles certain situations badly. She reacted so badly to me becoming pregnant with my first child that she essentially didn't speak to me for a while. So basically having in-laws can suck, but mostly based on the person. It doesn't matter how well you know them or how long they've been in your life. If they are difficult, they will always be difficult. My in-laws are awful, not intentionally mean, just oblivious and maddening. Most recent blunder may be the best. I'm getting ready to graduate from university and my wife and I were trying to plan a trip to Europe. I've never been and always wanted to go. Unfortunately, it was just too much money and we couldn't make it work. My father-in-law knows this. He has been wanting to go on a Europe trip for some time, so starts planning this trip to Europe right after I graduate. He calls my wife to set up dates and such and to let her know he'd be paying for the majority of it. Kicker is, I'm not invited. He wants to stay with family and there just isn't room and he can't afford for me to go anyway. We've been married for almost 5 years. My wife decided not to go because she was so pee. So to answer your question, people just suck. Hopefully your in-laws don't. Cringe face frick man. Sorry. Married for 32 years. Get along fine with my in-laws. They were kinda iffy about me at first since they didn't want a Californian-ass like myself corrupting their farm boy, but since I stuck around I redeemed myself. My cousin married a Californian-ass too, except she cheated on him with their church pastor. It is horrible. I've been with my so since high school and they've always hated me without a reason from the moment they saw me. His mother was always a helicopter parent and still tries to be. He has since forgiven her for everything she's done, but I can never forget how horrible she was to him and I will never like her. I would never let her know that, of course, though. She's still rude to me, but I act nice for my SOS sake. My relationship with my in-laws isn't everybody loves Raymond bad, but it's definitely a work in progress. The main problem is that my mill and I have very different ways of communicating. If I say something, I mean it. You don't have to guess what I'm really saying, and she is the opposite. Because of my upbringing, I have a really hard time with her indirect ways and conflict ensues. She also strikes me as fake because she'll say how much she wants to be there for me but then has no idea what my likes, hobbies, interests are, despite me telling her multiple times. Again, I know that may just be me, but if I care about someone, I pay attention to them and things they like or care about. Finally, I'm much more independent than she is and unnecessarily dependent people annoy me. The best example, according to my husband, on her first date with my Phil, she had to have him cut her steak because her father had always done it for her. She was at least 16 at the time. She has no disabilities that would keep her from doing these things, either. She's just too dainty, I guess. I'm from the north, and she grew up in the south, USA, so maybe it's just cultural differences, but she just epitomizes the worst female stereotypes, in my mind. I'm sure she has similar ideas about me. Haha. I'm from the north, and she grew up in the south, USA, so maybe it's just cultural differences. Born and grew up in the south, and can definitively state that this is not southern behavior, and in most circumstances would actually cause you to be dateless, and especially not at 16. Sounds like arrested development from coddling in formative years. My in-laws are great, which is lucky because we live close to my spouse's family and see them all the time, whereas mine are across country and we hardly ever see them. My father-in-law is chill, so we get along fine. My mother-in-law is the opposite of chill, so we just tolerate each other the best we can. I don't often invite them into my home, so it all works out okay. I've never met my parents-in-law. My wife came out to them shortly after we became engaged, and not long after that was the last time they spoke to one another. They were pretty crappy people even without the homophobia, though, so good job to her in losing the 300 pounds of unhealthy weight that was dragging her down. Not really. I have good relationships with several of my in-laws and even some my ex-in-laws. It can be tedious in some situations. There are some of my in-laws that I like, and some that I essentially refuse to spend time with. They pretty much know who they are at this point. My in-laws love me. My husband jokes that they like me better than him. My parents though can't stand him. My mom can't stand me either, so we share that. My in-laws are great. My mill in particular is without exaggeration one of the most charismatic people I've ever met. She's always smiling and projecting good vibes. As a bonus, she's a great cook and always hooks me and the wife up when we visit. My Phil was mad cool too, though unfortunately he passed away last year. They're not perfect people. Wife has some issues that carried over from childhood, but based on my interactions with them I have no complaints. Short version. For me, yes. Long version. Haven't spoken or seen my mother-in-law since the wedding. She is an abusive narcissist that took years of therapy for my husband to process. My father-in-law and his second wife are better, but we don't have much of a relationship with them at all. They are very hands-off with children. We have 2 very young children. I think his father especially dislikes me and thinks that I seduced or otherwise took in his son. Even though we will both say that we have always supported each other and have very good loving lives now. The bottom line is that I never really believed that when you marry someone you marry their family too. Our entire life together, which has been the last 10 years, has always been about my husband and I and our children first. It would be better if my mill gave us some privacy and wasn't so overbearing and interfering. She mothers my husband way too much. My wife's parents were dead when we met, and my father was dead too. Mum died in year 9 of the marriage. She met my mother once, for about 20 minutes, at a family event on the other side of the country from where we live, and said, "Now I know why you live 3,000 miles away from her." So, win. On the other hand, we are currently in-laws, and our son-in-law told us that my wife and I were one of the big reasons he decided to pop the question to our daughter. Both of our kids' spouses are freaking awesome, and the 9 of us, plus 3 grandkids, make an awesome unit. You guys sound like an awesome family. Yes it is. About a month after we got married, we found out about $15,000 of debt they took out in her name they forgot about. Don't worry though, they gave $500 to make up for it. Appreciated. But really? Still, the worst part is that my in-laws hate me and look down on my wife for marrying me. But of course they don't have the backbone to ever say this stuff, so they just make backhanded comments to her and upset her. Hate me all you want. Couldn't care less. But when they talk down to her, even though she is the youngest and most successful of all of her siblings, just because she married me and my family are less than them. Uncool. About a month after we got married, we found out about $15,000 of debt they took out in her name they forgot about. Please tell me a police report was done, or at least civil action was taken. My ex-wife's parents loved me from the beginning all the way to the end of the marriage. My ex-fiance's parents think extremely highly of me and are quite aware of how bad their daughter screwed up the relationship. So I haven't really seen the bad in-laws side of the relationship. Relationships with the in-laws has seemingly been one of the few healthy aspects of most of my long-term relationships. I avoid my mill whenever possible. With a couple of exceptions, the rest of them are pretty cool. It's not that my mill has specifically done anything to me other than be nice. It's more the shitstorm she brings through her relationship with my wife. Met my wife when I was 18. Bio parents in various stages of alcoholism, pill addiction, etc. My mill and Phil taught me what parents are supposed to be. They showed me all the care and attention that I never knew I didn't have. When I think of my parents, I think of them first. My mill is lively, fun and funny. I like her. My Phil is as thoroughly boring a person as I've ever met. Getting more than a yup nope out of him is a pretty big event. He bores the life out of me. I don't have a clue what those two people have in common, but whatever. It works for them. He doesn't like you, that's why. I don't want to go into specifics cause my Reddit account isn't very private secretive, but they are people, and so some of them are great, some of them are okay, and a couple of them suck. It's a big family, but they are very varied, and my wife feels pretty much the same way I do about all of them, so there's never any tension between the two of us about it. I will say that some of them thought that we got married too young, and even though we've been happily married for 4 years, it's somehow still a point of contention. My in-law is a nightmare. She single-handedly ruined my wedding day by not allowing me to get married in the courthouse. It went from a small, quick affair to a big party for all of her friends. From maybe 20 people to almost 100 people. I hate crowds. None of my decisions were good enough. It was one of the most embarrassing, stressful, horrible days of my life. Hated every single thing about that day. One highlight from the wedding was that I specified very strongly that there was to be no alcohol. She and her friends are basically alcoholics, because my dad was once an alcoholic and had kicked the habit all on his own, and I wasn't going to do that to him. She said to Emmy, laughing, that she and her friends would just sneak in flasks and he would never know. I didn't want to be around drunks either. My dad was a freaking alcoholic. You think I want to be around other alcoholics? I also have bad anxiety and hypothyroidism, which makes that anxiety much worse. She's constantly treating me like I'm not good enough, or like nothing I do matters unless I do it her way. She's always offering me unsolicited advice, telling me I need to fix this, change that, do this better, and she does it with a smile and sweet demeanor so that I'm the one that looks bad. Tells me to eat a spoonful of honey every day to cure my anxiety, or go out in the sun more to fix me, or blah blah. She has all the answers. It's gotten to the point where she is a big trigger of my anxiety, so I avoid her at all costs. I can't be around her anymore. Sometimes it's so bad I'll drop right into a panic attack when I'm expected to go to her house or she shows up unexpectedly. The last time she did that, I froze and couldn't move until she left. So yeah, it's bad. She single-handedly ruined my wedding day by not allowing me to get married in the courthouse. Crap dog, that's on you. Put your goddamn foot down. It's your wedding and she doesn't have to be invited. My in-laws are Asian and I am not. I really thought I could win them over in the beginning just by trying really hard, but I was wrong. They really disliked me for a long time. But now we have been together for nearly 20 years and have a pretty good life, so they like me. Not as much as they like the Korean daughters-in-law who don't do half as much as me. But whatever. It started off horrible, which was super weird cause I always got along with everyone's parents. They tried to stop the wedding more than once. They were spoon-fed lies from one of my wife's friends, whom wasn't a big fan of me. I had no qualms with the girl. I thought we were friends, and caused major heck between the wife and her family. Fast forward to now, married nearly 7 years and I'm now their favorite son. They actually have 3 boys. All 3 of them married loonies, and that's what it took for them to realize that I'm actually a good person with their daughter's best intentions in mind. We're pretty opposite on everything. Politics, religion, interests. They're extremely conservative. I'm covered in tattoos and I'm pretty sure they think I corrupted their daughter. That said, we're amicable. That said, we're amicable. Honestly, that is what you hope for. If you get more than that, it is icing on the cake. I like them fine, but they're broken people. They're doing reasonably well considering what their parents were like. But there's still a bunch of childish drama and overall what the fuckedness that I just roll my eyes about. Thankfully they both figured out early on that I don't partake of dipshittery, so they turned their attentions elsewhere. The challenge for me was coming from a normal, well-adjusted family. You're not readily equipped to deal with the parents of your spouse acting like petulant children. It takes some getting used to. Yes, my mom will always act nice to my wife when around. The second I'm gone, that make remarks about her or is passive aggressive. Early on in our marriage, my mom and sister invited her to go shopping with them. My wife was excited because she was eager to bond with them. They then didn't speak a word to her the entire time, or engage in any small talk. I can only imagine how brutal it was for her. She was super hurt because she was trying so hard to connect. It's the ultimate B move, telling them that they don't exist or even worth talking to. Mine is mostly neutral. My sister and mother-in-law are both train wrecks as people, but they're good at heart. The biggest source of annoyance that my wife and I have to deal with is explaining how to properly do some simple task. Mother-in-law doesn't understand car insurance, cell phones, or banks. Sister-in-law doesn't understand people, computers, or emotion. They both mean well, but almost daily we get asked how to do something that they could just Google. So I've had mixed experiences with this, but none of them are bad. My ex-husband's parents were dead, so my in-laws were just his brothers, who are some of the coolest people ever. One brother's wife was kind of whatever, but the other brother's husband was super cool, and he and I always got along great since neither of us was from the place they were from, and we equally hated their bland food. My current partner's family is really cool in general, too. His mom is dead. What's with me and guys with dead mothers? So I never met her, but I think I would have liked her. His dad is really nice, but I'm careful around him because he's super conservative. Very typical old South. So I don't say too much. Now, my partner's sister is one of the nicest people I've ever met, and she and I were basically instant best friends. I talk to her more than he does. It's awesome because they live on the other side of the country. Lovely people, but I don't think I could handle living close to them. Seeing them a couple times a year is plenty for me. My wife goes to visit more than I do. We budget for at least one extra trip for her out there every year. I've never met my father-in-law, and I kind of hope I never do. I do not have a good impression of him based on everything I've heard from every other member of my wife's family. The rest of her family are awesome though. They have their issues, but they are kind and they clearly care for me a great deal. Likewise, My family loves my wife. It was very interesting the first time she spent extended periods around them because she grew up in a very different type of household. Just a lot of psychological warfare type of dynamics, whereas I grew up in basically a stereotypical sitcom type family. It was a mind frick for my wife as she kept trying to figure out the subtext of what people were saying or doing, or how X might really be meant to hurt her. It took her a few visits to really accept that yes, these people care for her and want good things for her and that's it. So I come from an abusive family. My husband comes from a loving and supportive family. When I first met his family, and meeting with them a couple of times after, it was really weird for me. I didn't know how to compose myself. I was always on edge, and always expecting the worst, because that's what I was used to. His parents are lovely people and I truly enjoy them. Over the years I have gotten more and more comfortable with them and feel love and support from them. I still struggle from time to time, like sometimes I can't help but worry that they think I am not good enough for their son. But that's for their son to decide. I also don't feel close enough to them to call them mom or dad. I don't know if people actually do that with their in-laws, but I do feel thankful that they are family to me now. On the flip side, I actually cut myself off from my parents a long time ago. My mother and I have a toxic relationship and so I just don't allow her to have control over me anymore. As a result, my husband has little to no connection to my parents and he's okay with that. We are both people who hope to someday have a big family, to host people during the holidays and all that jazz, but we at least have that with his parents, his aunts and uncles, and his cousins, and someday we will have kids to add to that. It's horrendous. They went out of their way to ruin our wedding a few years ago, made a scene, all because they didn't get to control the day. We paid for it and planned it to make it as enjoyable and chilled for everyone else as it possibly could be, but they still managed to find fault. Pisses me off so much more as my husband, albeit young, has some really serious health issues and all these arrogant suckers think about is themselves. It's not the kind of thing I can forgive. I love my husband to bits and he is nothing like them, thankfully. But yet, glad they aren't my blood relatives. Horrible nasty people. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.